Hillary Clinton, she lost the election because of bad advice and really a bad speaking coach. What happened was you can look it up. Bill Clinton, he's a very gregarious, large personality. So he had a speaking coach that told him, hey, you need to keep things, we'll flip this over. You kind of need to keep things in this box, right? You need to keep things in this box, Bill. You know, you're a little bit out there. And so that actually was good advice for him because it balanced out his personality. It fit that setting. And then no matter what, Bill not only stayed in the box, but he stayed in the box, but he used more depth. That's why I have this woman turning sideways, because we got to always think about when we get up on stage, you got a box right here, and then you got another box right here. And I call that the boring box, right? So when your hands are sitting there, your arms are sitting here by your side, you're chicken winging. And what that does is, when you open up your arms, and when you do, it even opens up your voice. It gives you more energy, it gives you more power, you know, especially if that's what you're working on. Like someone like myself, sometimes I have to stay a little bit inside because I'm already like, hey, I'll jump out, you know? But what happens is, if that's what you're working on, you want to purposely start with larger gestures. You want to get outside of that box. Because what happened was Hillary took that advice and she did all of her little gestures. She stayed inside her little box. And then Trump came out. Trump, every speaking coach, every public speaker knew months before there was a vote, he was going to win. Because the stuff that he was doing was next level persuasion, next level presentation. It was not only reaching people's minds, it was reaching their hearts. If you look at a video or, you just look at photos, you Google Trump speech, everything is like this. Everything is like this. Everything is like this. Everything is out. And so what happens is a lot of times people give that a bad stigma. They're like, okay, you're trying to portray like you're confident, you're trying to take up a lot of space. And that's not the thing. When you're reaching out, you're actually reaching out to people. You're actually getting closer to people. You're actually touching the folks around you. Getting in there, you are getting in their space. But what happens when you get out there, do people move away? No, they move towards you. So that's all like an orientation reflex that everybody starts to, it's like you start to become like a magnet just because of the way you have your body language. Palms when we're in front of a crowd because we're a little bit nervous. And this is like a sign to show that, hey, I'm safe. Which is you are, I'm safe. Like, okay, I'm safe. You want them to accept you, you want them to feel comfortable, right? But they've already accepted you. When they sit up here, you're in front of the group, everyone's looking at you, and they're just like, hey, like, entertain us, don't blow it, let's do this, you know? They're like rooting you on. So what happens is every time you walk up in front of the stage, every time you meet somebody, there's 4 reactions everybody has, universally. 4. They put you in a category immediately. Either you're a friend, you're a lover, you're an enemy, or you're indifferent. And just due to our imperfect nature, the way we've been raised, like we put 75% of the people in the indifferent category. So you literally have 7/10 of a second to grab everybody. Or they're just gonna be like, okay, he's indifferent. That's how when people can walk here in New York City. Like, I'm sure you on the way here, you walked past 1 million people, didn't make eye contact with one of them. Didn't say hi to any of them. Because that's just how people live their life every day, just indifferent, oblivious. And they actually say they're lonely. So that's the reason why when you come off, you just come off. We're gonna come off with fire. Just come off cooking. And then you can easily ramp it back. All right?
Sounds good.
No doubt, let's do it. Yes, ma'am.
So with this whole box thing that you have here, so you're saying like if his hands are staying close to here, that it's coming off as negative. But as soon as he gets out of the box and up, not down, down's the negative. So like if his hands were down.
Put your computer down. Come over here, let's try something.
Right.
Let's try something. Let's flip this page over, everybody. This right here. Scientifically, there's 6 different planes of gesturing, all right? And every time you gesture, you gotta understand you're giving off a sub-communication too. Words really mean much of nothing. Like Tyler sit there and tell you, we talked for the whole day last seminar. We didn't even get into the words yet. We just did all sub-communications, and that's powerful, right? So let's start here at the bottom, right? I want you to say, look out in the group, right? And I want you to keep your hands down by your side. I want you to say, I love you.
I love you.
All right. Now, I want you to raise your hands up and put it in the trust zone. So that's right there around your navel, right? Right there on your navel, right? Say it down.
I love you.
All right. Now, I want you to put it up here in the teaching zone, right here. Put up a little higher. Now, say it out the same thing. Drop it. Yeah.
I love you.
All right.
Look at her.
Huh? Right.
I love you.
Now I want you to kind of get it in the thinking zone. I want to kind of get in the thinking zone. Now, say it again. Say it out to everyone.
My hand, like,
Yeah, it's the thinking. This is all. Anything that is around here is all thinking.
okay.
It's all. I mean, it's all speech. So I want you to like look out and say it again.
I love you.
All right. Now I want you to kind of get your hand kind of up toward your head, put it into your brain. Yeah, playing with your hair. Now look out, and I want you to say the same thing.
I love you.
Now I want you to go to triumph, the top level. Get your hands up in the air, right? Now say it now.
I love you.
Now that looks ridiculous, right? Looks ridiculous. So as we went through all that progression, which one was the most believable? Yeah. And she wasn't even trying. All the other ones gave off subcommunications of what? Inauthenticity.
Yeah.
Everything else. And that's when you're walking up, you're trying to drop stuff on people, you're trying to move your product, you're trying to inspire folks. There's three, they can only process 7 things mentally, but there's 300 things going on in the back of their heads. Because we have to think, when you walk up here, people are going straight, they're going straight jungle. They're going back to their 4,000 years ago. Because what happens is, when you were in a tribe, you were in a group of people, right? If somebody came into that, if somebody was going to come into your tribe, right? They wanted to see if you looked a little off, if you looked a little sick, and you brought that person into the tribe, and then everyone else got sick, who would get ostracized? You and the sick person. You get ostracized from your group. You can't procreate, you can't eat, you can't mate, you can't do anything. So what happens is, we're always looking and we're always connecting with people, and we're thinking about how can they help me, whether we want to really break it down or not. Is this person going to help me take me to the next level, or are they going to hurt me? And if we think the person, if we get the vibe, oh, they can't really help me, you're just going to go indifferent real quick. And that's the whole thing we're going here. We're not, this isn't parlor tricks. We're not trying to manipulate people. This is all, we all have a positive, honest, inspiring message out there. But when you step up here, you don't want all that other stuff to cloud it.
Right.
You want to be able to like, okay, know what you're doing and know exactly what points you're hitting, right?
So keep it here.
So what happens is, so let's think about this, right? So trust, when you come into trust, this is where a lot of people mess up. I want you to introduce yourself to everybody. Introduce yourself to everybody and tell them what you do.
Well, my name is Carolina Morelli. I'm a holistic integrative health coach from Miami, Florida.
Okay. So what happens is, a lot of times when people introduce themselves, that's like almost the down part of their whole like speech. It starts going downhill from there. You did some very good stuff. You just kept it right in trust. When you introduce yourself, I want everyone just that you have to pretty much be, this is just the facts, Because usually what happens when you first say, you ever go and you have one of those conferences where everyone has to like stand up and introduce themselves and everything. By the time it start getting closer to you, you start getting like nervous, like, okay, what am I gonna say? Like, how am I, you know what I mean? Because you realize when you stand up, it's a reflection of not only who you are, but what you do. Yeah. So when you just come straight from trust, it was like, yeah, this is just what I do. I make $1 million. My name is Marion Kane. I inspire people, And so that's the basic stuff. I went through this. If you sit there and you say, I have 8 degrees. I have 8. You know what I mean? But you're just like, I have 8 degrees. I a lot of these folks I coach. It's just a whole different vibe.
It makes you feel like really relatable.
Right. Well, not only relatable, you're just like, okay, he's not trying to sell me.
Yeah.
It's real. He's being authentic. However, you just want to stay in that zone for right there. Because when you're doing a pitch, which we're going to get to later, everyone's going to do a pitch. And we're going to break down how to do a real pitch, not Shark Tank pitch. When you first start off, you got to start off here. But when you start discussing the problems, when you start breaking down exactly what needs to be done, you need to get into teaching. But then when you want to start inspiring them and get that money, you better grab their heart, you know? And that's really what's going to move them. So we start to see here, this really just helps you to see what you do naturally and gives you ideas on how you can take it to the next level, you know? So that's why I put even smaller notes in here, you know? One right here that a lot of people don't get. What do you think notion is? What's notion? You see that right there on the elbow? What do you think notion is? Notion is like conviction. You look at it, look it up, you Google it. It's like conviction. So when you have your elbow stuck to your side and you're sitting there saying like, you know, I'm the best health coach out there. What's better is like, I'm the best health coach.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
100%. It's like when you have your elbow stuck here, you're not going to be able to convince and inspire and move them. You know, you want to show intelligence, seduction, it's all in your hands. You know, when somebody's going to come all in your face and all this other stuff, it's all in your hands, how you use your hands. If you want to figure out, you're looking at a group dynamic, the first thing you always want to look at is the feet. The feet don't lie. Everything else, you know, you can tell where the person's oriented. That's exactly what they want to do. If they're oriented out towards the door, that's exactly where they want to go. You know? So you can look at that stuff and that can give you a better viewpoint. Okay, who is a good person to go in to talk to and who are people you shouldn't talk to? Or if someone's talking to you, you can literally just be like, hey, we're friends, and literally change their orientation, and that will lock them in. Wow. Just say, hey, yeah, come on, we're all friends. And you just like, come on, just you face it, and as soon as you like, it gives you a better connection. Availability is all in the knees. Guys, when they're available, they spread all out. You know, even sometimes with women, when they'll cross and uncross their legs a lot more than they do before. You know, and that doesn't mean all these things mean that. It just gives you better questions, better statements to start making for observations. Because what happens is, that's a good thing. We have to get to the point when we're looking at, when we can get somebody, we can figure out exactly their personality type. We can start asking better and more specific questions and also be able to help them. And that goes for our clients, that goes for our coaches, that even goes for our family. So what happens is if you're trying to figure out how to inspire somebody or what their true needs are, if you ask them, what do you want? Are they going to tell you? Are they? They ain't going to tell you. However, it's just the craziest weird reflex humans have. If you make a statement, like, okay, you like fur, you know? What happens is usually when you make a statement about somebody, either they're going to confirm it or they're going to disagree. And if they confirm it, you look like a genius because you've read that person. Yeah. If they disagree, you've won because now you know exactly where they're at. And that can help you stack to the next level. If you ask questions, people are always going to ask, why are they asking this question? And then you're never going to get to the truth. So all this stuff is better ways to kind of like look at the individual. Okay, hey, you look like you're a little uncomfortable. You look like, you know, is everything okay? That's better than, you know, saying like, okay, how are you feeling? Because then people can go all over the voice. If you sit there and say, oh, okay, I'm feeling comfortable, like, yeah, I kind of had a rough day, da, da, da. You're making more of an observation as opposed to asking questions. And you could do it just by looking at the person's body language.